Hey there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens alongside
Meteorologist Aaron White. It's been warm. Really warm, for quite a while. We had 88 degrees the other day. We've been in the 80s. Today, a little bit better, more seasonal, yeah, still doesn't feel like October yet.
No, I mean, today, kicking off October, our temperatures, like you said, have been well above average.
Yeah.
Even our upper 70s this afternoon are above average.
Yeah.
And no sign of fall in the forecast, honestly.
Yeah. Normal high is about 72 today, so we're still sitting pretty good, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually, but
yeah.
not today. Let's go and dive into that forecast out there. Right now, your biggest weather impact is going to be that need for sunglasses across Central Ohio because the rest of the week, warm and sunny weather is going to continue. There's no chance for rain anytime in this week or this weekend, but as we head toward next week, we might be able to finally start to change that at least a little bit. Hopefully to get some rain chances back in here by next Tuesday into Wednesday. Of course, we've had that before in the forecast where that very last day, day 7, day 8, kind of gets the rain potential going, and then it fades away as we get closer to it. So it's not a promise yet, but it's something to look forward to because we're going to need the rain if it's much sunshine as we've had over the past few weeks. The sun continues across the region this afternoon. Temperature as of early afternoon hanging around in the upper 70s, close to that 80-degree mark. This is about where we'll top out for the afternoon. We may add a degree or two on top of this, but not significantly warmer in the coming hours. We have hit the 80s in several spots like Delaware, Marysville, London, Circleville, all in the 80s at this hour. Still holding on to that 78 here in Columbus, but like I said, wouldn't be surprised to see that number tick up another degree or two before the day is done. That's our high for today, in fact, right about that 80-degree mark here in the next couple of hours with plenty of sunshine expected to continue this afternoon. Clear skies into the first part of tonight with a little bit of extra cloud cover as we head toward early tomorrow. Any rain chance of this? No, we're not expecting that. It's going to stay dry. Temperatures will push down into the 50s as we head toward tonight. If you're outside the rest of this afternoon and really for next couple of days, UV index is still going to be high. It's a little bit lower this time of the year compared to in the summer, but still enough that you'll need that SPF 30, especially if you're outside for a longer period of time. And of course, reduce sun exposure the best you can if you have to work outside during the day. The other thing to keep in mind is the allergy index. The ragweed continues to be a factor out there in moderate to high levels, and those mold levels also a little bit elevated up toward moderate levels as well. When it comes to cloud cover, again, we are going to see a little bit push in as we head through tonight. We can see those clouds off to the west this afternoon, pushing through portions of Indiana and up into Michigan. There's a little bit of moisture with this all the way back out in Iowa, but all we're going to get are the clouds coming through as we head through the next 24 hours. We'll show you that here hour by hour. Again, we walk through here. Not much activity through this evening, but as we get into tonight and early tomorrow, here comes the cloud cover. We'll see a little bit more in the way of clouds for your Thursday compared to what we have out there today, but no rain out there. We stay dry on that hour-by-hour forecast all the way through tomorrow afternoon and into the end of your week as well. Pretty quiet forecast for the rest of this week. We did say there are some rain chances, though, but they are a little bit further down the road. So here's what we're looking at as we get into next week. This is Monday morning. We're still dry out there come Monday, but by the time we head into Tuesday, that's when we can start to see some changes. This weather maker pushes its way closer toward us throughout the day Tuesday. We see those shower chances start to increase across the region, continue through the overnight and into early Wednesday before they push right back on out. And again, hopefully we can get that burst of rain in here as we head into next week because we really do need it. We had quite a dry September. Those rainfall totals coming in over an inch below where we should be for the month. And then the start of October here also, again, looking to start off pretty dry. Here's your 10 Weather Impact 7-day forecast. Our temperatures out there not too bad. Next couple of days, 80 today, upper 70s tomorrow. Keep in mind, this is still above normal territory. We should be in the mid 70s for highs this time of the year. So it's still going to be feeling a little bit warmer than it should be for October. But those mornings are where you'll start to feel more of that fall air. 50 degrees out there Thursday morning, 53 out there Friday morning. As we head into Friday afternoon and evening, of course, we've got 1st and 10 high school football coming up Friday night. That forecast looking pretty good for the games out there. It's going to be a little bit warmer than it was last week, at least for the kickoff. We're talking temperatures mid to upper 70s. Warm-ups will be more in the 80s, but once we lose the daylight, temperatures do start to fall a little bit faster this time of the year, dropping down to 70 by halftime and 65 by the final score. And then, of course, Saturday, we've got that night game over at the Shoe. Ohio State not looking too bad either. Very similar conditions to what we'll have out there Friday. We'll look for pregame, tailgating out there. Temperatures in the low 80s. We'll drop down to the 70s by kickoff, and then we'll be into the 60s by halftime. And the time the game comes to an end, those temperatures will stay above normal through the rest of the weekend into early next week into the mid 80s. And then we got that shower and thunderstorm chance by the time we head toward next Tuesday. Could cool us down some. And of course, Aaron, what we really need out of that is going to be the rainfall.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get some of that as we get towards the middle of next week. I mean, it's been just a little bit of time since we had some rain.
Yeah.
The rain we had just about a week ago helped. But
didn't break the drought,
not
but it
enough.
helped.
Yeah, so it's going to be a while before we really, I think, break this drought.
Yeah, definitely not enough rain. We got to break the drought. And while it's not necessarily rain that you're looking at today, Aaron, you are looking ahead into October and some of those weather milestones we're about to see over the coming month.
Yeah, because we are still tracking the mild temperatures, but eventually this is the time of year where we start to see these colder temperatures, and eventually we'll get our first frost. But I do want to talk about the outlook for October, as right now, and based on what we have in the forecast, as Michael just mentioned, we have these warmer temperatures, and it looks like the outlook is going to be staying on the mild side here for much of the Midwest, as we will see at least a few days here and there where temperatures are cooler than normal, but overall the projections are showing us to be above normal and still rather dry here as we go through the month. Now, we likely will see some rain at some point here into October, but so far, you know, the chances aren't really that high. Maybe by the middle of next week, but overall, when you put it all together, chances are we won't see a lot of rain here as we go through the month. Now, what we will see likely is going to be our first, frost and freeze potential, as it typically does happen around the middle of October here, especially in the northern part of the state and south, a little bit towards the end of the month. And there are some indications, this is still a ways out, about 10 to 14 days from now, where we will get some cooler conditions and the chance for maybe some frosty temperatures overnight. So we'll be watching that for you here on 10 TV. Now, one thing I do also want to mention is, as we are into October, not saying there's a chance, but maybe a very slight chance that we could actually see our first snow. Odds are it's going to be in November or December. These are the earliest snowfalls on record in Columbus, and there's only 5 days in recorded history for Columbus where there's actually been snow, measurable snowfall. The earliest was October 19th, 1989, and then back on October 30th, 1993, over 3 inches of snowfall, so a little snowy Halloween for them back in 93. But thankfully, we don't have to really worry about this.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying there's a chance. As early as the 19th, there's a chance of snow in there.
Yeah, very, very minor. When you think about 5 days out of, the 100 years or so of weather records.
Very small.
Very small.
I mean, one of them was in the 2012s, though, so not all that long ago.
Not too long ago, but
we got to get out of this pattern before we get to that.
Right, yeah. So with these warm temperatures, it's probably not going to happen. So, yeah, fingers crossed on that one.
Fingers crossed, but like I said, not likely.
Yeah.
Another thing that is, inevitable in October is the harvest season. Of course, we know that comes every year during this time. And according to the state's agricultural overview, Ohio has 74,000 farm operations underway.
Oh, wow.
That's across 13 million acres of land.
Yeah, and all that farmland is leading to an increase in dust in the air, and this can always cause problems for farmers working long hours in the fields. Shelby Whitaker has the side effects you may notice actually when the dust settles.
It's nicknamed farmer's lung, and it's a type of inflammation in the lungs that can be caused by breathing in dust from moldy hay, grains, or other crops, causing an array of symptoms.
The main thing is going to be irritation, coughing, nose running, eyes itching, that sort of thing, and progressively gets worse.
During harvest, dust and tiny particles are continuously stirred up, and the exposure to these allergens could permanently damage your lungs.
Farmers in combines for long hours could be at risk. Behind me, you can see the plumes of dust being kicked up.
If the combine cab is dusty, they get exposed to it quite a bit, or if there's dust being kicked up by the transfer of grain from any of the grain bins or anything like that. That can cause issues too.
It's important to watch for symptoms in your friends and families who may be working in the fields. This includes shortness of breath, coughs, muscle aches, or fever.
Farmers can be very stubborn people at times, and it's probably a good idea that if you notice that your spouse has been exposed to this kind of thing, it might be a good idea to encourage them to get to a doctor.
And while some of these symptoms could feel like a lingering cold, they could lead to permanent scarring in your lungs.
But they will definitely not want to wait on this. This is something, you only have one set of lungs, and if they get messed up, you're messed up maybe for a long time.
If you think you're experiencing symptoms this harvest, contact a doctor. In LaGrange, I'm Shelby Whitaker.
And now to some news about our environment. Today is National Energy Efficiency Day, and it's a day created to help you save money and to help save the earth as well.
Yeah, to actually help out, Columbia Gas is sharing ways you can save money this year. And first, you want to maintain your furnace. You can schedule a yearly tune-up to make sure your heat is ready for, of course, the cold season, but also don't forget to change the filter before you start it. And second, check your thermostat. You can turn it down or up just a few degrees to cut down on some of the cost.
Yeah, make sure you also open your blinds on sunny days and keep them closed when it's cloudy outside. That'll help maintain the temperature inside, keep it warm, of course, during the cooler season ahead. And finally, look at your water tank and make sure that the dial is turned to 120 degrees or lower. Definitely too hot for me. And up next, shipping companies, they're looking for ways to turn their cargo ships into a more fuel efficient and green way to ship freight.
Yeah, and actually a Dutch company is testing 30-ton power banks that slide in and out of ships just like this, like large giant Legos. Each one runs on green energy and powers the vessel for up to 8 hours, helping to cut down on air and water pollution.
We are making this a battery electric driven ship. So when it sails, it will be on electric power, meaning no emissions to the air. That's our aim.
It's being called a world first, but the tech is still pricey with just a handful of ships using it so far. The company called Zero Emission Services says a crane can replace drained batteries with fresh ones in about 15 minutes, keeping everything running on time.
Oh, pretty cool new tech there. And a new investigation today from CBS and KFF, an independent organization that reports on national health issues, looks at hospitals in some precarious locations.
Yeah, and hospitals all across the country in flood zones are finding themselves in big trouble. Increasingly extreme weather is putting them in danger of damage and, in some cases, destruction.
Where were the ambulances?
The ambulances were to the left right here at the ER entrance.
A year ago, Unicoi County Hospital was hit with a flood so bad, the community's ambulances were nearly swallowed by water. Emergency manager Jimmy Irwin was on the scene, worried the entire hospital would be swept away.
So the clock was ticking because you thought the building was going to go?
Yeah.
And everybody's on the roof?
Everybody's on the roof.
It took 4 helicopters to airlift everyone to safety. But what's come into focus since is where Unicoi Hospital was built, in a floodplain. And an investigation by our partners at KFF Health News, who analyzed proprietary flooding data from the company Fathom, identified at least 170 other U.S. hospitals facing the greatest risk of potentially dangerous flooding. Each of those hospitals could be shut down by a 100-year flood, the kind of extreme weather that has become more common due to climate change.
I suppose they're all thinking this is never going to happen to them, too.
Hopefully, seeing what happened in Tennessee and what's happened in other areas, maybe it'll make someone start thinking.
This investigation also found that much of the identified hospital flood risk, some seen here in animations from around the country, does not show up on FEMA's official flood maps, in part because those maps are outdated and do not account for climate change.
Huge change in the hydrology.
Andrew Joyner is Tennessee's state climatologist who works with emergency managers to mitigate the impact of climate disasters.
So how do you plan for that?
It's difficult. I mean, I think right now, the planning is hoping that something doesn't happen.
And when it comes to planning for the worst impacts of climate change on America's hospitals, Jimmy Irwin has learned that hope may not be the best strategy.
People go to the hospitals for help, not to be caught in a situation where no one can help them.
David Schechter, CBS News.
And speaking of flooding, while most of the U.S. dodged the impacts this week from hurricanes Humberto and Imelda, places like Asheville, North Carolina are actually still cleaning up from Helene 1 year down the road.
Yeah, and just how bad it was back there back in 2024. And reporter Walker Lawson with our sister station in Charlotte went to Asheville and found local artists finding inspiration amidst the devastation.
Last September, the River Arts District streets went from flowing currents to a canvas of devastation.
We had about what we anticipated about 80% of the square footage of the district had been devastated.
But this September, Jeffrey Burrows, president of the River Arts District Artists, says they're picking up their brushes and painting new life into the district.
Yeah, we have made such strides and such growth.
Jeremy Russell's studio was located right along the river when Helene hit. He says floodwaters left his gallery ruined.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. It was mud, 6 to 8 inches mud, this weird mud that stuck to everything that even if you pressure washed it, even if you used soap, everything was just ruined.
Nearly 50 of his pieces and his studio were destroyed in a single stroke.
That kind of water and that kind of mud destroys like everything it's on.
But out of the ruins, he found a new space to create and a new palette of emotion.
At first, some of the paintings were not positive. Some of them were kind of negative and just, stormy. And then over time, as they evolved and as I got a sense of what had happened and then what to look forward to in the future, I became more optimistic and kind of tried to take those lessons and put them into my art.
And now, just like his paintings, the district itself is taking on new shades of hope.
So we had 750 artists represented before the storm, and we have about 380 back up and running, and by the end of September, we'll have over 500.
Reporting in Asheville, Walker Lawson, WCNC Charlotte.
And finally today, let's check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. First, sticking with the hurricanes. While we did miss the landfalls from the hurricanes this week, the outer bands did have a big impact along Carolina's coast. This was the scene on Tuesday in Buxton when these outer banks and rough surf got battered across that region there.
Yeah, just wild. And I mean, just how much rainfall they had and just the high surf and those conditions actually caused at least 6 homes to collapse. And the National Weather Service says the storms could produce larger than normal waves up to 12 feet.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these homes, some of them have been in danger for quite some time out there. And even a non-direct hit from a hurricane such as the Imelda and Humberto this week, you can just see the damage that it causes there.
Yeah, and even Aaron back earlier this year.
Yeah, those houses just not on stable footing anymore, and well, getting they're reclaimed by the sea. Thankfully, I believe there was no reports of injuries from this week.
And also check this video out. This is actually from last night, and it still continues even today. Kilauea in Hawaii continues to erupt this week. There's been episodes of these lava eruptions over the last several months, ever since December 2024, and really putting on a crazy show there.
I mean, just lots of video from around the country this week of just the power of nature. I mean, we saw it there with the ocean in the waves, and you see it here from Kilauea. At least the good thing with Kilauea, unless these eruptions have been, obviously, they're very familiar with it in Hawaii. They know where the lava is going to go and where to be safe from these at. So you can get these views such as this without really getting too many people in danger.
Yeah, not causing any big problems and stuff, but just a really dramatic, just watching that lava just pouring out. I checked it out yesterday, and there wasn't much going on. There was some smoke and everything, and then all of a sudden you see that last night, and just it's incredible.
Yeah, they have some of the best, most picturesque lava flows there in Hawaii. I mean, you get some volcanoes in other parts of the world, they explode more than flow. And you definitely want to have the flow. It's safer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. And speaking of safer, well, hard to get safer than the weather we have out there across central Ohio. It's so quiet. But that doesn't mean we don't continue to keep a close eye on things. And later tonight, Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz, he'll be here to get you ready for the end of the week and the weekend ahead. Till then, catch more online at 10tv.com. Have a great afternoon.